Hello and welcome. Today we will explore a remarkable life. We will go behind the grand doors of palaces. We will discover the private story of Queen Elizabeth II. Many people know her as a powerful symbol. They see the magnificent crown and the formal waves. But who was the woman behind the title? What were her secret joys and her quiet struggles? This story is about her journey. It is a journey that she did not choose. Yet, she walked it with grace for 70 years. Let's begin and uncover the hidden life of a queen. Her story starts not with a crown, but with a nickname. To her family, she was simply Lilibet. She was a cheerful and serious little girl. She was born in 1926. At that time, no one thought she would be queen. Her father was the Duke of York, the king's second son. Her uncle Edward was the heir to the throne. Elizabeth and her younger sister, Margaret, lived a quiet life. They were very close sisters. They played games and had lessons at home. Their world was small and safe. Elizabeth loved horses and dogs from a very young age. She had her first pony when she was just 4 years old. Her corgis were her constant friends. They followed her everywhere. This simple love for animals stayed with her for her entire life. It was a special part of her private world. It was a place where she was not a princess, just a girl who loved her pets. Then, everything changed in a moment. In 1936, a crisis shook the royal family. Her uncle, King Edward VIII, made a very difficult choice. He was in love with an American woman named Wallis Simpson. She had been married before. The rules of the church and the government at that time were very strict. They did not allow the king to marry her and remain on the throne. He had to choose between his duty and his heart. He chose love. He gave up the throne for the woman he loved. This single decision changed Elizabeth's life forever. Her father, a quiet and shy man, suddenly became King George VI. He did not want to be king. He was not prepared for it. But it was his duty. And at just 10 years old, little Lilibet was now the next in line to the throne. Her path was no longer her own. It belonged to her country. The weight of the future was now on her young shoulders. She reportedly asked her nanny, "Does that mean I will be the next queen?" The nanny said yes. Elizabeth then said, "I will have to be good." She understood the seriousness of her new role even at that young age. Her life of lessons changed. She began to study history and constitutional law. She had to prepare for a job she never expected to have. She learned the importance of duty from her father. He showed her what it meant to serve the people, even when it was hard. As a teenager, a new challenge arrived. War came to Britain. World War II was a dark and dangerous time for everyone. Bombs fell on London almost every night. The city was in danger. Many children were sent to the countryside for safety. But Elizabeth and her sister Margaret stayed in Windsor Castle, near London. Their parents, the king and queen, wanted to show solidarity with the people. The queen said, "The children won't go without me. I won't leave the king. And the king will never leave." The family became a symbol of hope and courage. When she turned 18, Elizabeth wanted to do more to help. She insisted on joining the war effort. She joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service, the women's branch of the army. There, she was not treated like a princess. She was known as Second Subaltern Elizabeth Windsor. She learned how to drive a military truck. She also learned how to be a mechanic. She could change a tire and fix an engine. This experience was very important for her. It connected her with ordinary people from all over the country. It showed her a life outside of the protective palace walls. She enjoyed the feeling of being part of a team. During these difficult years of war, a young love also began to grow. She had met Prince Philip of Greece and Denmark years before, when she was just a girl. He was a handsome and confident naval officer. Now, they started writing letters to each other. Their connection grew stronger through their letters. He was serving in the Navy, fighting in the war. Their love story was a bright light in a dark time. After the war ended, their love became public. They got married in 1947. Their wedding was a moment of great joy for a country that was tired and rebuilding. It was a symbol of a new beginning and future happiness. She was a young wife and soon a mother. Her first child, Prince Charles, was born in 1948. Then came Princess Anne in 1950. For a short time, she and Philip lived on the island of Malta. He was stationed there with the Royal Navy. This was a very special time for her. It was the most normal period of her life. She could be a naval officer's wife. She could drive her own car, go to the shops, and meet with other Navy wives. She was happy in this simple role. But she always knew her other life was waiting for her. Her father's health was not good. The stress of the war had made him weak. The king was tired. The shadow of the crown was always near. In 1952, she and Philip went on a long tour of the Commonwealth. Their first stop was Kenya. They stayed in a treetop hotel, watching wild animals in their natural home. It was there, in the heart of Africa, that her life changed once more, and this time, forever. She was a princess when she climbed into the trees that night. When she came down the next morning, she was the queen. Her beloved father had passed away peacefully in his sleep. Her quiet life was over. The hidden life was now guarded by palace walls. At only 25 years old, Elizabeth returned to London as its new monarch. The journey home from Kenya was silent and heavy. She was a daughter grieving for her father. She was also a queen preparing to lead her nation and the Commonwealth. Her coronation took place the next year, in June 1953. It was a huge, magnificent event. For the first time, it was watched by millions of people around the world on television. People saw a young woman make a very old and solemn promise to God and her people. She promised to dedicate her whole life to service, whether it be long or short. It was a promise she would keep for over 70 years. Her new role was incredibly demanding. She had private meetings with her prime minister every week. She read large red boxes of official government papers every single day. She traveled all over the world, representing her country and meeting leaders and ordinary people. Her image was on stamps, coins, and banknotes. She became one of the most famous and respected women in the world. But behind the public duties, she was also a mother. After Charles and Anne, she had 2 more children, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward. Finding a balance between her public role as queen and her private family life was not always easy. The children grew up in a world of strict rules and traditions. Yet, she tried to create moments of normalcy for them. The family spent their summers at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. This was her favorite place on earth. At Balmoral, she could truly relax. She was not just the queen. She could be herself. She would walk for hours in the beautiful hills with her beloved corgis running free. She would have picnics and barbecues with her family. Prince Philip would do the cooking. She would even wash the dishes after dinner, wearing rubber gloves. These simple, private moments were precious to her. They were a connection to the quiet, simple life she once knew. She also had a wonderful and surprising sense of humor that the public rarely saw. Once, while walking near Balmoral, she met some American tourists. They did not recognize her in her simple clothes. They asked her if she lived nearby and if she had ever met the Queen. She simply pointed to her protection officer and said with a straight face, "No, but he has." This quiet, funny side was a treasured part of her hidden life. Her long reign saw immense change in the world. She saw the end of the British Empire and the birth of the Commonwealth of Nations. She saw incredible advances in technology that changed how people lived and communicated. Her own family faced public struggles, divorces, and personal sadness. She once called one particularly difficult year her annus horribilis, a Latin phrase for a horrible year. Through all the good times and the bad, she remained a constant and steady figure. She was a symbol of stability and continuity for her people. She was a living link to the past and a quiet guide for the future. As she grew older, she became a loving grandmother and then a great-grandmother. Her large family was a source of great joy and sometimes worry. She enjoyed teaching her grandchildren to ride horses. She shared her deep love of the countryside with them. Her life was a remarkable story of duty. It was a life of quiet sacrifice and unwavering commitment. The young girl who never expected to be queen became the longest reigning monarch in British history. She kept the promise she made on her coronation day. She served her people with grace and dignity until the very end of her long life. Her story shows us that even in a life of great ceremony and public focus, the simple things matter most. Love for family, joy in nature, and a quiet sense of humor are important for everyone, even a queen. What can we learn from her long and dedicated journey? We can learn that true strength is not always loud or powerful. It can be found in quiet dedication, in resilience, and in a promise kept for a lifetime. Her hidden life reminds us that behind every great public title, there is a human heart with its own hopes, fears, and loves. Thank you for listening to her incredible story.